Okay, so welcome back to BP Builds. I wanted to make a quick video because I always get questions. Probably the most common question I've been getting is about axle ratio in the 5-speed swap. And this really would apply to any car. You just have to program in your car's data. But I made this little spreadsheet for Crown Vic 5-speed swap. And what this basically does is the yellow boxes are things that you are supposed to enter. So you have to enter in your transmission gear ratio that you're currently in. And a lot of people, the question is always something about, what's my highway RPM going to be, or what rear end gear ratio is the best, or explain why you chose 390s and things like that. So I have a 2010 Ford Crown Vic P7B with a 2004 Mustang GT Tremec TR 3650 transmission, 5-speed. And then I re-geared my rear end. It's the Ford 8.8 inch, the 8.8 with 31 spline axles. And I re-geared it to have 390 gears with Positrack, or I think Ford calls it track lock, um, carrier. So I upgraded to put a little bit hotter rear end gear in there. And I want to explain why I did that, but I also have this little cheat sheet that I made, and basically here you enter in your tire size. So this is the stock tire size of a Ford Crown Vic. So I think they changed from 16s to 17s somewhere around. I think it was '05 or something like that. But like I said, so this is the 2010. So I got 235, 55, 17. So this is your, yeah, you probably already know this, but in case you don't, this is your your wheel diameter. This is the tread width, and then this is the aspect ratio, which is the height of the sidewall, which is calculated based off of a percentage of the tire width. So this is essentially saying that the sidewall is 55% of 235 millimeters. So you see here my little calculation, I'm doing 55, H10 is 55%. So you divide that by 100. Of is the multiplication, your tread width, which is G10. And then that would be your uh, sidewall height in millimeters. So divided by 25.4 to convert into inches. So your sidewall height is that. So then you can get your tire diameter, which would be 17 plus two sidewalls. And then you can get your tread width just by converting millimeters into inches. So these are all the 27.177 inch diameter tire is what the stock Crown Vic is, right? So then you use that. See, all I did here is this value equals the result of your calculations here, and then the circumference is just pi times diameter, and then this is just a this is how many so this is how many inches per minute, because we're taking one revolution of the tire would travel its circumference, right? So you're going to go 85.34 inches per every one revolution of the wheel of a wheel. So then you would multiply that by your wheel's RPM. And that's going to be getting your how fast you're going, not in miles an hour. We're going to convert to that, but that's how fast you're going in inches a minute. This is just a constant. There's 63,360 inches in a mile. So then to convert to miles per minute, we're dividing the inches per minute by the inches per mile to get us into miles a minute, and then we're multiplying the miles a minute by 60 to get it into miles an hour, right? So that's kind of so now that's the speed calculations. Next, you go to your drive shaft calculation. So you have your engine crankshaft is traveling at a speed that you're controlling with the gas pedal and gear position. So that gets us into what your gear ratio is. So here's an example of a muscle car, 60s GM. But here's the overdrive ratio for the stock Crown Vic, for example. You're in overdrive, so you can see that the drive shaft is spinning faster than the engine is. That's why it's called an overdrive, right? And then here's where you would enter in what gear ratio rear axle do you want to run or are you running, and then that's going to tell you how fast your wheels are going. And all you're doing is dividing the drive shaft has to turn 4.11 times to get the wheels to turn once. Right. So that's how you're figuring that out. So that's your wheel RPM. That's how fast your wheels are going, and then you just run through it to get how I showed you before. So then what I did is I made three little columns here. So these are kind of the options that I kind of pre-selected for us. So the stock rear axle ratio on a Crown Vic police car is 327. So that means, well, I guess we'll start over here at the stock. So if you have a stock Crown Vic and you are in fourth gear, which would be overdrive, to go 65 miles an hour, the engine is going to be going 1,842 RPM. So we can check our work here. So we'll put a stock ratio back in. Well, we already got our overdrive ratio, and what did I say? 1842. So let's do 1840. So we're 64.95. So 1841. Almost there. 1842. So you got to go 1,842 RPM to get to 65. But as you see, as you go to a numerically higher gear, you could change to 355s, 373s. I did 389s, or you could do 411s, or there's 456s, or whatever you want to do. But if you, as you can see, as you go to a numerically higher gear, your engine RPM has to increase to maintain that speed. So that's why they say your fuel economy would go down, because your engine is having to rotate faster to keep you going at that speed. You have to spin the engine more at a higher RPM to get your wheels to turn to that speed. So what I did is I installed a TR3650 out of 2004, so it has a 0.62 ratio fifth gear. So you see that 0.62 is less than 0.7. Well, here let's just prove what I'm saying. Let's just pick a constant RPM, 2000, and so you see with a 0.7 ratio, the drive shaft would be spinning 2857. So if I put it in 0.62, it's going to be spinning faster, which would mean that your wheels would be traveling faster at that same RPM, which means you see how we jumped up in speed. We jumped up in speed, so I would have to slow my engine down to somewhere in the 1650-ish RPM range to slow down. And you can see that this number, this 1650 to go 65, is lower than 1800. So I have some room to improve here. It's giving me the opportunity to make my rear end gear to take advantage of that faster spinning drive shaft. I can make a performance improvement and take advantage of that overdrive gear, and I can go to a numerically higher gear or a lower gear, as they say. You're gonna get more acceleration while not sacrificing. It's like free. You're getting a higher acceleration in your lower gears, first, second, third, and fourth, and while also giving you the opportunity to maintain your highway RPM. So it's a kind of a good little performance upgrade that you kind of get by doing the 5-speed swap. So that's kind of why I ran the math here with the same ratio. So if I wanted to maintain roughly the same RPM as or another way of saying that would be, if I want to maintain the same fuel economy as the stock car, the stock transmission, you'd want to choose a combination of gearing and tire size if you're changing your tire size. But I didn't. I'm running stock tires, so you would want to find a gear that you're going to get somewhere around that RPM. So you can see here, it's either 355s. Yeah, that's good, but we can do better than that. So 373s would be pretty much a stock highway cruising car. You get one more gear to play around with, because on the automatic it's only a 4-speed, so it's first, second, and third, and then a third gear is 1-to-1, whereas on a 5-speed, fourth gear is 1-to-1. So you get an extra gear to play around with, sure, but you might as well go to something 373s or higher than that. And I chose the 389s, and now that I've been driving the car, I'm thinking that I probably should have gone with the 411s. The car is a real good cruiser, but I think it would do a little bit better, or around the street and having fun with it, if it had 411s in it, while still having a nice highway gear. The only downside to that is the first gear on the 5-speed is like a real low tractor gear. So if you did this, your first gear would be like super short. I mean, it's short already in with a 389, but it'd be like a little bit shorter with the 411. So if you're okay with that, that's what you'd be dealing with. But I think it would be pretty fun to drive like that. But this is a combination of kind of both, right? That's why I picked it right in the middle. It's a happy medium. But if you wanted to, and this is just another example, my last one is the 2001 from Mustang had a 0.6H from my research. So this would just be the numbers if you were to choose if you were going to run this transmission. So I guess that's kind of the point of my spiel and what I just kind of wanted to explain. So here's kind of the data that I wanted to show you. And I kind of showed you how to make this spreadsheet so you can recreate this and play around with it yourself. But I don't know if anybody. So like here, I have the 0.62 that was already in there. I've got 390s, and you can see that at 55 miles an hour, maybe we'll just do maybe I'll just run through just so you can see. There's 1800 RPM in fifth gear, 2000 RPM. If you want to go 70 miles an hour, maybe a lot of people do 7. I do 70. I do like 73. So I think I run like 2200 RPM with 73. Yeah, something like that. 2180 maybe. Yeah. So then if you want to do 75, you're probably going to have to do 2200 RPM, 2300. Well, if you do 2300, you'd be doing 77. If you ran 411s, you'd to do 75, you'd 2350. Yeah, I'd be doing about 68 to do 75. So, whereas if you ran 373s, maybe I should have made another column for 75, because some people drive faster than 75. But I guess you could just scale that up. Do like a comparison. You could back calculate it. But if you ran 373s and you wanted to do 75, you'd be doing 47. In a perfect world, if you had your tires, depending on your tire tread, your tire air pressure, and stuff like that. But anyway, there's just a few examples of what your speed would be, what your RPM would be at highway speed, to help you decide what rate ratio you have. So there you go, and stay tuned for more.
So I'm also interested in this new snout, because with the blue one out on the car, I did a lot of welding to it, and then also this housing. What I did was I just took a big bandsaw and chopped it off right about here, and then I welded four, like I think they were about a half-inch thick piece of aluminum. I welded four kind of blocks, and then I drilled and tapped for the four holes for the factory throttle elbow. And then also what I did was this one still has the silencing ports. There's a port here and a port here, but on the one out of the car, I welded those shut. So because I did a lot of welding on the snout and the housing, I'm thinking that I got a little warpage. This one I put on a surface plate, and it's perfectly flat, but I haven't done any welding. The other one, it was a little warped, and perhaps that's why I'm getting that oil leakage. So now that it's springtime, that's kind of another reason why I'm doing this. I wanna put these parts on that hopefully aren't warped. At least this one. I hope the housing isn't too warped, but I also hear like a growling sound when I'm at idle. I hear like a growling sound, and I'm wondering if that's because I have a little warpage in the assembly and something is rubbing, So I'm hoping that goes away when I put my fresh snout and my fresh rotor pack. And you can see it's got carbon on it, but right here you can see the Teflon coating is still intact. So I on the other one, I'll show you when I take it off, it's gone. Yeah, there ain't no more coating on there. So I'm hoping that I'll get a little bit more responsiveness and boost with that rotor pack.